What are the top 10 Batman books I'd want in my collection? Let's find out. Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is good, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and welcome back for another top 10 video. That's right, I take one of the most iconic characters of all time, the Batman, and I give you my top 10 books I'd want in my collection. But before we get started in the video, like always guys, we are dangerously close to 4,000 subscribers, and I'm going to be giving away some massive stuff when we reach that milestone. So if you haven't joined me for the ride, click the subscribe button, tap that like button, and turn on the notification bell. But we're here for Batman, an iconic character like I said, and I'm going to start off at the top spot, and believe it or not, it is not a copy of Detective Comics 27. I didn't include that book on this list only for the fact it is really crazy expensive, and only probably 1% of the population could afford that one. But at the top spot is none other than a copy of Batman #1 and the first appearance of Batman in his own solo title. But it doesn't stop there. It is a first appearance of one of the most iconic villains of all time, the Joker. And yet again, it doesn't stop there again. This is also the first appearance of the Catwoman. They fit a lot into this first issue. And back in 2015 was the last sale for a 0.5 complete copy. And back then it went for $15,535, believe it or not. But hold up, we got a 4.0 sale just May of this year for $264,000. Really a massive key, and we had to start off this list at this spot. I would love to own a 0.5 complete copy of this book. Hey, you never know. This might be the next one I go after for my collection. Unfortunately, I think I would have to give up a lot of my books, but it may be worth it, and it had to be #1 on this list. At the 2 spot is a copy of Detective Comics #31 in this iconic cover by Bob Kane that has been homaged to death, and I can't say that I don't love it. I absolutely do. It's also been homaged by the late great Neil Adams, believe it or not, in Batman #227. Regardless, guys, this is also the 5th appearance of Batman, believe it or not, and the first appearance of Batman's iconic Batarang. CGC 2.0 just sold back in June for $93,000, believe it or not, and that is a whopping amount of money for this book. Again, iconic book that everyone probably wants to own in their collection. Definitely pricey, but there's somebody out there in this community that I know is looking to add a copy of this one. At number 3 on this list is a book that nobody seems to be talking about. It is a copy of Batman #16 and the first appearance of a major character relating to Batman. It is the first appearance of Alfred Pennyworth, Batman and Bruce Wayne's longtime confidant and butler. And right now, a CGC 2.5 sold way back in February for $2,280. We can't underestimate the importance of Alfred in the Batman storylines, how important Alfred is in what Batman does in the comics over the long haul over these past 80 years. Again, an iconic book, an iconic character that nobody seems to be going after. To me, I had to put it at the 3 spot just because of its importance. I love Alfred, love his role and what he is to Batman. I had to put it at the 3 spot, an all-time important Batman key. Coming in at number 4 on this list is a copy of Detective Comics #38 and the first appearance of the Boy Wonder, Robin. Now, I know Robin kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, but he is an integral part in what Batman was in the Golden Age. Now, plenty of people out there will argue that Batman was better, grittier, more angry in those first few issues of Detective Comics, and I may agree with you guys, but Robin was such a huge part of Batman lore from when I was growing up, I could not include it on this list. And the last sale, believe it or not, for a CGC 3.5 was way back in March for $42,000, and man, that is really a lump sum of money for a character that is so hated out there in Batman lore. But regardless, guys, huge issue, huge key I would love to own in my collection because Robin is such an important part of Batman history. At number 5 on this list is a copy of Detective Comics #140 and the first appearance of another iconic villain, the Riddler. I cannot tell you guys how much of a fan I was of the Riddler when I was growing up. The iconic storylines in the comics, the TV show, they really brought out the detective style trait that Batman was meant to have early on in the comics, and this character surely did that. And a CGC 3.0, just sold way back in March for $9,000. Another iconic key that you must have if you're a true Batman fan. Again, a lot of these books on the early part of this list are really expensive books, but I know a lot of the members of the community out there, they have big books, so I had to include them on this list because, again, a book I definitely want to own, and it comes in at the 5 spot on this one. Coming in at number 6 on this list is a copy of Detective Comics number 33 and the Origin of Batman. That's right, this is the first time we hear about Martha and Thomas Wayne and their murders. But believe it or not, we don't actually get anything on this storyline till Batman issue number 47, and a CGC 1.5 sold way back in March for $29,000. Again, another monster key, an iconic storyline that's been done over and over in films. We all know how, of course, Batman becomes Batman, but believe it or not, I did not know it was in this issue. Again, another huge Batman key that nobody talks about that I definitely want in my collection. At number 7 on this list is a copy of Detective Comics number 58 and the first appearance of the Penguin. Believe it or not, I wasn't a huge Penguin fan growing up, but I gotta be honest, I love the portrayal of the Penguin by Burgess Meredith in that 1950s television show. In a CGC 2.0, sold way back in January for $9,622. If you're a Batman fan and you like Golden Age comics, this is a must-own in my opinion. A huge villain. Again, Batman has some of the best rogues villains out there in comic book history. Him and Spider-Man probably rival each other in that category, but regardless, an iconic key you definitely must own. At number 8 on this list is a copy of Detective Comics number 66 and the first appearance of the Golden Age Two-Face. Now, when I say Golden Age, guys, I think a lot of people out there in the community know we have the first true appearance that happened to most of these Batman characters in the Golden Age, and then we have this Silver Age first appearance. So anybody out there who doesn't know, they kind of didn't bring these characters back to probably around the early 1960s. So there are Golden Age first appearances and there are Silver Age first appearances when it comes to these iconic Batman villains. Regardless, guys, a CGC 1.8 sold way back in March for $8,400. Now, I know a lot of these Golden Age books are really high up there in price, so if you can't go out and grab these books, maybe you want to stick to the Silver Age appearances. But again, for me, I'd really love to own this book someday, add it to my collection, and that's why it's number 8 on my list. At number 9 on my list is probably a book that no one else is going to have on their top 10 Batman list. It is a copy of Detective Comics number 73 and the first cover appearance of the Scarecrow. And believe it or not, this is also his second appearance. Now, everybody out there in the community is probably going to ask me, hey, how come you have this book over the first appearance? It doesn't make sense. You may be right, but I gotta be honest, when you look at his first true appearance, the cover of that book leaves something to be desired. It's got Batman, Superman, and Robin on the cover of this thing. This, to me, I absolutely love Detective Comics number 73 and that cover. To me, this is the book I want to own, and a CGC 3.5 sold way back in January for $5,040. A nice monster key that nobody seems to be talking about. A book, hey, I would love to own this book in my collection if I could afford it. If you're a big Batman fan like I am, I know I talk a lot of Marvel, but I do collect Batman keys. Definitely a book I need to have. And at the top spot finally on this list, guys, is a copy of Batman number 121 and the first appearance of Mr. Freeze. To be honest, the first issue of Mr. Freeze and his first appearance, they actually referred to him as Mr. Zero. We didn't actually get the name of Mr. Freeze until Detective Comics number 373 and a CGC 2.5 sold way back in September for $1,386. Believe it or not, guys, actually not a bad price for this book because it was way higher maybe about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Again, another iconic villain I had to include on this list. I said it before, Batman is some of the greatest villains of all time, and to own all of them in their first true appearances, I would actually love to do it, but it's just so tasking because of the dollar amounts of all these books. Regardless, these are my top 10 Batman keys I'd want in my collection, of course excluding Detective Comics number 27. This was a long video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I am a huge Batman fan. I'm going to tell you, Batman keys, DC keys are going to get ready to pop as soon as DC figures out what it's doing with its movies. And I think hiring James Gunn and the other person that they hired to run DC Studios is a step in the right direction. So this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.